Hello everyone, welcome back to Thimbleberry Manor. So today my plan of attack is to complete the Nibble Nook, the bookcase slash library space underneath the big staircase. The staircase, if you recall, goes down the bottom here and takes everyone up to the second or the third level. So in an effort to complete something under that void, I created Nibble Nook. Now, in previous episodes, you've seen all sorts of little activities sort of building towards, I guess, the episode where we finish it. So what I want to do is bring you up to speed with some little projects I've been doing just at my leisure, just sort of nibbling away at the big picture. So I'm hoping in this episode we will finish Nibble Nook. Now I'll film lots of little activities, join them all together, and hopefully the piece will, well, I guess the space will come together. So in the last episode, I had Tia with me and I got a little bit sidetracked and I started making elements for the retail space that's above Nibble Nook. Jelly rolls, fat quarters, bolts of fabric, all just placed on this little bookcase for now. So that sort of took up a good week of my time. So I'm just going to move that up one level, pop it up, and it's done, out of my way. I also, using the method of winding cotton onto beads, completed this tray of yarns or crocheting cottons for that retail space as well. So that's been sitting around on the counter completed. I just used, now what was it? I used a stranded cotton. No, I didn't. Tia used stranded cotton. I used just normal crochet cotton. I think it was a bit of Wonderfill. Found colours I liked and just wound it with a needle through a pony bead. I think they use them to put into people's hair. I think they make all sorts of things, Taylor Swift bracelets, all sorts of things. So Tia kindly gave me some pony beads and I wrapped them all and then put a little piece of paper around them so that they look like they are crochet cottons. They are all glued in and they just happen to fit this little tray. Now this tray I got from Temu and I think it's supposed to have a breakfast items put in it. But I spotted it and I've repurposed it. So I don't know what I'm going to put those breakfast items in, but it's now a nice little tray to hold cottons, which of course then gives me a bit of a template idea that I can potentially make future trays as needed. So I'll pop that up out of the way. Now this was a little basket that came from Temu and the fabrics inside didn't suit the aesthetics of this little house. So with a little bit of a gentle pull, they all came out. They were just held in with glue. I've gifted those to Tia because they were more suited to her buttonwood manor. And then using some of the scrap fabrics left from making jelly rolls, I've just folded them and arranged them, popped some glue and reapplied them. The bow is probably a little bit bright, but you know, we're not going to sweat the details. So that's, I guess, more aesthetically suiting my manor. So that's just catching you up on a few little additional things. And look who's here. We have another mouse. I don't think she appeared in the last episode. I think I'd already filmed it and on the final day she came together. So we have another little mouse for our mouse house. So using a crocheted medallion, which we've all been using in slow stitch cutout, I found that the holes in that perfectly lined up with some little arms, and with it folded over, it gave the feeling that it was like a long collar on a little draped jacket. And then I love the way that it sat across the front here. So her little dress is some old red children's fabric out of a children's dress, little gathered skirt. I picked out a piece of lace that had a bit of an arch to it. It's like a series of arches, and then because it was see-through, I've got a tiny little bit of tulle. I think 2 pieces of tulle I stitched into the back of it so that, you know, it wasn't see-through, and then stitched it onto the little dress. and then added the little jacket. Now for something a bit different, I made her some little panties, some little trousers. Her skirt wasn't to the ground like the other two mice, so I thought the perfect opportunity to have a play with using some very old fabric, and made her a little pair of breeches. I just love them. That fabric is from a flour sack. You know, when I put all the flour sacks in the Just Because quilt, the back of all of those printed fronts, I've kept all of that fabric, and it's old and it's just beautiful fabric. So I thought that's perfect for a little pair of pants for this little mouse. She doesn't have a name yet. If you've got any suggestions, pop it into the comments below. Love to hear it. So she's just standing there. Now, let's get on to the to-do list for Nibble Nook. Now, first thing I'll bring you up to speed is the printer's tray. I haven't done anything decorative with this yet because there's a few little ideas floating around in my mind. I'm thinking that this house is near the ocean, like myself. So my friend Marianne has been busy looking for tiny elements that I can use in this little house. So she's found me this tiny little bit of coral, and she's been collecting itty bitty shells. So I've got a start of something for that. So that's definitely a project that I want to explore. And I did think about putting some paper into some of these to sort of create a bit of a background, and then the little pieces. So that's one little project for this whole scene. I've got myself a little stool that I'm thinking will sit beside the chair, and maybe a cup of tea on it or something like that. So that needs to be decorated. I've also got a bench seat, which I think is a perfect coffee table. So that needs dressing. So that's another task. See what I mean by there's a lot to do. The couch. I've gone through quite a lot of ideas for the couch, from recovering it to painting it to all sorts of things. So what I decided in the end is to tea stain it, which I have done. I think I showed that in another video. I've then started making some scatter cushions. That's the classic granny square, and then stitched onto some calico, and then I've seamed the edge and put some stuffing in there. So that's given me a crocheted scatter cushion. This is a vintage yo-yo that I found, and I've just stitched it onto some calico. Actually, I think this fabric is still part of the fabrics to do with the flour sacks, so her pants. I just find that it's already stained and old looking, and it's soft. Calico can be a little bit stiff because it has sizing in it. So I'm tending towards these old vintage fabrics to create my old vintage cushions. So there's that little one. And then I've still got this cushion kicking around because inside there, no, I did stuff that. I see I did consider making the cushion, or did I? Oh gosh, I can't remember. I did that like a week ago. No, that is stuffed. I did consider just covering these. I think the spare is over in my toolkit. So I'm thinking still of leaving that cushion. I don't mind the look of that. It sort of still ties it all in with the couch. But what I do want to do is mousy up the couch a little more. Tia sent me a video of a couch that she's going to make, and it's all patchwork. And it gave me the idea that I could still do some more to this by stitching on some scrappy bits of things as if there's been a hole and the mice have patched it. So that's another job. So I'm just sort of giving you a rundown of all the little jobs. Now what I did do, and I was going to do this with you guys, but I was going over to a mate's place for the evening, and I just started it. So this is a piece of very old vintage fabric that I got in Paris. It was part of a bigger piece, and I've been nibbling away at it, making all sorts of projects. And there was this little rectangular piece sitting there, and I thought that's perfect. So I didn't have to adjust the size. There was a hole already in it, so I did a little bit of stitching there, but left the rest frayed. It's like they're they're mending it is what I was thinking. And to tie the story into mending, I just did a little bit of weaving here. There was no hole. I've just done that. I was going to embroider all of these flowers with some technique. I'm still not sure about that. But everything I tried, it just sort of took away from the beautiful fabric. So I've just backed away from it a little bit. But what I did do is I had a jar of orts from all of my Nikki Franklin stitcheries. And it's like a Makona jar full of threads that were excess to all of the kits. Like Nikki's kits are very generous. And there was heaps and heaps of threads. And every so often I pick it up and just pull out some colours and use them. So I did that again. And I picked out some pink, some taupe, some cream, and some green. So sort of like a mouse would do, random threads picked up, taken home and attached as tassels to this old piece of fabric. So that is going to go on the floor, and then of course the couch and the coffee table, side table. So I think I'm happy with what I'm doing here. I'll probably think of some other little things. I do have a slope of the stairs going up, so there's potential that something could be done there. And in my mind, yet to sort of have a play with it, is maybe some baby mice sitting on a rug, like a crocheted rug with some books, just reading, and a mummy mouse would be here on the couch sort of reading a story to the kids. So that is playing around in my mind as a bit of a story I could tell there. Now, back into the bookcase itself, Temu has little books available for sale, and I've got a few packs of those. Every time I do a little order, I just throw a pack in. Not sure how I'm going to use them, and I'm not sure if they'll be in this space, but it's been interesting to have a little look at them and see how they've constructed them. I plan to make my own books for the bookcase, which we'll do later in this video. The other thing I've got is my frame is ready to be positioned on the wall. I've got some museum wax to hold it into position. Museum wax is a product they use to position things in miniature and hold them in position. So I find all the time I bump something and everything just falls off. And I said to Tia, why is it, nothing sits, everything is just hitting the deck every time I bump it with my big hands. And then literally the next day, I think it was Tia, saw on a video miniature museum wax. So I've got myself a little tub of that from Amazon, and that can be placed under objects to hold them. So that's a game changer. Now you'll see a couple little brass ornaments here. When I look at miniature bookcases, not only are there books, but there's like little, I guess, treasures from maybe traveling. And so that sort of started opening up my mind to, well, what else would be in this bookcase? So on Temu, 1:12 scale, you can buy all sorts of miniatures. Now, the thing I did find is not all were scaled. These are, and I think they're going to be fantastic. It's a stag and a doe. Not sure where they'll go yet, but when they find their home, they will be part of the display. And I also found this little bird, and it was a set of 2. She is big, but I guess next to the mouse it's not so bad. Look, 1:2 is, yes, my scale, but there's elements in here that are a little bit out. We're not going to be as precise. So I'm planning on having that little bird somewhere in the display. The second little bird is up with those fabrics. So there is a snail kicking around. So at the moment, the snail is not in the house. It's just sitting there. I think there's a second one somewhere, yeah. And there was a little fox, very big, but I guess as an ornament in a room, not too bad. So what else did I get in the whole miniature brass elements? A little bunny, little jackrabbit. So they're just sort of sitting around the whole place. They'll pop up from time to time. So if you are doing this project along with me, that might be something you want to consider in your spaces is just random little critters to help build the story. There's another jackrabbit that, you know, the mice or whoever your character is collects things. Okay. I sort of love that concept of the brass, because whenever I see antique brass animals, I tend to pick them up as well. So I've got a very, very small collection of probably 5 little brass antique critters. So it sort of suits me doing that to this house. Okay, I think that's about it. Oh, the only other thing is, when I was in Newcastle, I picked up this little clock, which is part of the Sam and Julia range of bits and bobs that you can buy for your Sam and Julia houses. And they had quite a little selection there. They had some scissors, and they had a clock, and heaps of things. So I picked the scissors and I picked the clock. So I've put the sticker in the center of the clock, and that too will find a space in the desk. So, and the museum glue will be fantastic, because this little thing just falls off, and you only need the slightest of slope on that shelving unit, and everything just topples off. So there you go. That's the plan. We've got to finish doing our couch, do something with the tabletops, have a think about the space that maybe mice would sit and read at. That's way down the track, mind you, and get into making books and finishing decorating the bookcase. Okay, well, I might take you to the desk and we might pick one of these objects to do something with. All right, guys, see you shortly. Okay, we're back at my desk, so I feel away from the house where I seem to just knock everything with my big fumbly hands. So I feel like I'm in my natural environment. So that's the jar of orts that came from quite a few of Nikki Franklin's little stitcheries that I purchased. Oh gosh, that must be like nearly 2 years ago now. And I love the fact that they are all color coordinated. Like, all of Nikki's work just harmonizes together. So instead of losing that harmony and spreading those threads back into, you know, my collection of threads, I've kept them all. And every so often this jar comes with me and I do something and I just know it's going to work, because Nikki has curated the threads for me. So I just love it. Nikki Franklin is a British embroidery creator. So just Google her name and it'll take you to her website, her channel, everything that she does. And she's amazing. Instagram page, don't think she's on YouTube. I mentioned museum wax. This is it. So it's not cheap. It was $29 Australian for this little tub of museum wax. But I think it's going to be a game changer. It literally is wax. Used in museums to secure art, glass, statues, china, and more. Quake hold. So yeah, that might solve a few problems. So I was worried that it might be greasy, but that piece of paper has been sitting on that product and there's been no grease stain. Well, there you go. Very good. So I've got that up my sleeve, ready to apply as needed. I just grabbed a paddle pop stick too, because maybe I'll be using it on this to hold a circular piece on there when we get to it. All right, what do we want to do first? I bought my rug with too, because I thought maybe I could add some more elements to it that the mice might consider using, and lace. This is a little bundle of lace that I did up for a workshop that I was going to, and I just bundled them together, threw it into my kit, and thought maybe there was something there for projects that I was working on. And I thought, you know what, I have to unbundle it and maybe there's something I can use here. Don't really want to cut into that, but that flower would be perfect for a coffee table, but I think it's a bit big. Would dangle over. Maybe I can find something else circular to make a little. But then if I did use it, what else could I use from this piece? It's very old lace and it's just beautiful. I don't think I can cut that up. Put that away. Can't do it. Maybe there's something circular in here. This is old lace as well. Would one of those work? I'm happy to nibble out that. See, the beautiful thing about this is because a mouse is decorating, it can be a bit odd. You know what I mean? It can be scrappy looking. With a little bit of glue, you can potentially hold things into position, and I don't mind that. I wonder if we can make that work. Let's have a go. Let's have a go. So we would need to glue that into position and then maybe tack down those edges. If that went beside the couch, you wouldn't see that edge as much. We could get a draped look from that scallop, I'm thinking. And with a little bit of glue, yeah, I like that, guys. Little crocheted piece. Okay, that will be glued onto there. I won't waste time now doing that with you because that'll take time. That's what I've noticed is like everything I think to do, like gluing something here or move, it just takes time. I'll need to weight it, hold it, then come back a few hours later and start gluing down those edges. But I think you get the general gist. That will be the tabletop. So that works really well. There's our picture that's sitting there. So this, I'd like to add some more elements. Oh, got a tiny little edge. Now, if I remember rightly, the mat goes like that because I didn't want to lose these little bits underneath there. So maybe at the front, we stitch that on. So invisible stitch, bring it to that edge. It'll just add a pop of interest on this mousy rug. So let's just pin that. So that's some homework. Invisible stitch that down. And that's what I'm thinking we could do to this couch. So let's remove those cushions. Maybe we can put a bit of lace on this. What else have we got here? That's too modern. I did buy that in Paris, but it's a bit modern. But it is from Paris. What about putting a bit of that? Oh, I don't mind that. Just a band of lace around the cushion. How's that look with the rest of the cushions? So let's, I guess, bought it in Paris. It should go into the mouse chateau. Hey, Fudgy. Fudgy's just appeared. So just a touch of lace. What do you think? I like it. Yes, Fudgy. Pat the cat. Okay. Let's just trim that. And that'll be some homework. Yes, pussycat. That can go. Got a bent pin here. So while it's in my hand, it's going into the trash. Okay. Another cushion decorated. All right. Do we want anything else on this? What's this little piece? Maybe we do something to the couch. I'm sort of picturing, Fudgy's bumping the camera. I'm picturing bits attached. Like that would be good. And I guess the question is, can I stitch? Hang on, let's get a needle and thread happening because maybe I can't stitch it. That's really glued solid to the edge. So it might be a case of I have to glue it. We need a very, very fine needle. Yes, pussycat, I could use some of those stranded cottons and stitch. I could definitely stitch into there. There's wadding. Oh yeah, look, I can. I've just got the needle into there. So I think I might put that on there. Just to decorate up that a little more. I think I'll cut it there. My goal is to mousy up the couch a little bit. Get rid of that. It's come from Temu look. How do I bury my knot? I think a few little stitches will work. And the other thing I'll do is pop a little bit of glue in as well. Yes, pussycat. Fudgy wants to jump up. That chair's out there, Fudge. Use that chair. What to do with my lace? The other thing I thought about adding to the couch is some patches of fabric. Hence why my container of fabric's there. Meow. Okay, that will work. It's going to be tedious. Glue would be a lot quicker, but I'm a bit of a needle girl, a bit of a needle and thread girl, so if I can stitch it, I will. Yes, pussy. Lovely, that's going to work a treat. So I might just park that needle there. So let's move on to the back of the couch. What can we do? Let's go into the fabrics. Some of these are nice old grungy pieces. Oh, that tear. Nope. Rough it up a little bit. And then maybe using some threads. Do a bit of rough stitching there. I think that'll work a treat. It looks like a mouse has patched it. And my cushions will still work. So I could do with maybe a bit of this stripe just to mix it up a little bit. This will help get a bit of darkness to the piece. This couch was very bright, the fabric, if you remember, and I tea stained it. So this will help grungy it up a little bit. Another piece here. I've got a little hole. See the hole there on that cushion where Temu's expertise on creating something was a little bit off. So let's mousy fix that. We've got a hole we can actually patch. So I'll pin that there. That can have some stitches on it. Now we might put a bit more lace on. Where does when I cut that circle out, was there scraps? No. Yes, there was. Where's the bit that come off the bottom, guys? What to do with it? The bit that come off of there. Did it fall on the floor? Oh my goodness. No. Okay. Tidy up your space and you'll find the bit. Must be attached somewhere. Oh, I don't know what happened to it. You guys probably saw it. I'll have to watch the video back to see what I did with it. But what I do have here, maybe there was nothing come off. Yes, there was. Anyway, moving along, wasting time. I'm going to nibble this bit off. That's a good bit. Looks like a mousy scrap. Let's put that there. Well, I have never stitched onto a couch lacy bits. This is a first. Might get another bit of that brown. I like how it's pushing back that red couch even more. Might halve that, it's very big. Think mouse girl. Just a patch there. Pudgy's having his breakfast. That'll be seen there, so I like that. I'll just put this piece over there. I suspect glue may come out here, guys. See, that's dangerous. Pin down. That lace is too white. Maybe I could get another little piece of this on somewhere. Just a bit. Little cluster there. Look, I'll fiddle around with it, I'm sure, when it comes to actually attaching it all. So, yeah, I like that. What do you think? Does that look a little mousy? I think it does. Do we need some more on here? I sort of feel like I do. Look, I'm going to leave it because if I do a mouse scene, say a little crocheted something with a little mouse sitting reading a book, I'm working an area that's potentially going to be covered. So I think that's enough. Less is more, girl. So what we do need to do is the table. So maybe we do something with these. Look at those holes. Maybe we do something with this to tie it together. I'm thinking that's what we're going to do. So to catch those holes, I would need to cut through. Through there. There's about, so we're making a table runner. A mouse table runner. That stripe is going to be exactly in the center, which should capture that ratty little nibbled edge. Okay. So do we make it short or do we make it hang off the table a little bit? I think we'll hang it off the table a little bit. Sort of makes it feel like it's a bit lush. It's not one of those table runners where you think you got the right size and you get it home and it doesn't even make to the end of your table and it always reminds you that it's a little bit short. I think we're going to have that. And what I might do is maybe do a little bit of stitching around it like it's been mended a bit. See on the edge of the rug, I did a little bit of overcast stitch here just to like the mouses have mended it, and I did it there as well. After I did that one, I realised the couch was covering it. So then I came over here and did a little bit more because I felt like that might be at least in view. So that is my little fabric enhanced mousy scene. There we go. Oh, love it. Love it, love it, love it. All right, well, I'll finish sewing all that and that'll be ready to go into Nibble Nook. So I'll pause the video. What else was I going to tell you? I just thought of then. Oh, on the back of this piece of old fabric, I just laid down some calico and needle turned edged that edge all the way around. That and then invisible stitched it. You can see my stitching there. That's just helped stabilize that very old piece of fabric. So it sort of gave a little bit of thickness to the rug as well. It sort of feels a bit more like a rug instead of a flimsy piece of fabric. This, to me, was either curtaining or a fabric that was on a chair. It's sort of got that upholstery feel. Okay. That's it for that. All right, I'll pause the video, get this done, and my next section will be working on all my books. I've just got them sitting over to the side here. Actually, I might just show you what I've got so far. That will then allow me to have a bit of a play, and then when I come back, I've got a plan. So what I've got here in my tray is, oh, that's some wrapping paper that I've saved from the gift from Tia, from my mice. I sort of felt like that had the potential of using. It's sort of that old brown paper. So I've just got that sitting there, and I've got some of the twine that Tia used, so just popped it on the pile. So in the link below is heaps of PDF links to Etsy stores that sell miniature books. And I think I went to 3 different shops and bought about 4 or 5 kits. This kit is embroidery book, birds, recipes. I made a misprint here, but that doesn't matter. There's at least 3 recipe books, flower books. So these are the covers. So it gives you the inside page and the actual cover with the spine. So that was one kit. Those books are here, and the internal pages are big long strips like that I have tea dyed everything, or Parisian essence dyed, and have dried, and I've folded them into their concertina that the Etsy store designer recommends, and made the internal pages. So they're ready to go. I've just got to now add the cover. So that's those kitchen books, bird books, embroidery books. I think they're probably a little bit big. I should have shrunk them down, but doesn't matter. Does not matter. The next lot of books, let me just grab one, is a really good size. Has a old marble paper internal page. There'd be a name for that, but it slips my mind. Then the pages themselves, once again, that was a strip. I've concertinaed them, glued them, dyed them. They're ready to go. These don't have a cover. I have to make a cover for those. So that's what I'm going to do as well. Then we drop down in size, and these are itty bitty books. Once again, has the marble page on the inside. It was a big long strip. I've concertinaed it and joined them with a bit of glue to make the little books. I've done this over a series of weeks. This is tedious, really tedious. So I've just been, whenever I feel like it, coming and playing with the books. And then I get down to tiny itty bitty ones. Once again, marble page, glued, concertinaed together. So all from different designers, and the links are below. So they need covers. These ones I haven't done anything with yet because I had an incident where the page got damaged, and technically these are missing their mate. So you glue in here. Here comes the fudge. Let me just show you. So on the page when I printed it was this strip and then a second strip. You cut both out, you join them together to give you a longer strip, then you concertina it together. Pussy, pussy. I damaged the pages, and in my dyeing, some got ripped and fudge jumped up, and anyway, these are excess, missing the linking element. But I'm keeping them because I might be able to use them anyway. Until I get my head around how these books come together, but I'll just hang on to it. Another kit I bought was a tiny little page of books. These are itty bitty envelopes that I've cut out, dyed, and I've actually glued them together in stacks. There was heaps. So I've made some big stacks, some little stacks, little envelopes, some loose envelopes. That's them not glued together in a stack. That's folded. Dobber glue makes a double-sided envelope, and then stack them up with some glue, pussycat, and you've got a stack. So I've gone through and created lots of stacks. I've tried to make them neat and tidy, and I've also tried to make them messy. So I'm thinking around the writing desk will be all of those. So they're ready to go. That's like another element ready. These are letters yet to be displayed, but they came with this kit. So they're ready to go. They're all dyed, just need to be stacked or rolled or, you know, piled up around the place, poked out of the drawers. So they're ready. Just ignore the piece of fabric that's just been hanging around. Now, this was another kit. This is William Morris artwork used to create a book cover. I'm hoping that some of these can go onto some of those, and that would give me a William Morris book. You can also just cut out a piece of cardboard and create a fake book where the William Morris page goes around a piece of card, and you've got yourself a quick book. So that's why I bought that, because A, I love William Morris's designs, and B, I could, I guess, make some fake books to help fill out the bookcase if this becomes not enough. And I suspect it's not enough when you look at all my shelves, but we'll see. So that's potential of some fake books and also some covers for real books. Now this is all of the paper that I kept that is from all of this. And I thought maybe I could make some rolled up pieces like so, like they're maps. And with the string, I could have, like, let's say these mice are planning a house and it's all the schematics for a house. This would be in the bookcase. House designs, mousy house designs. So I've kept them as well. And then, of course, paper like that, who knows, maybe there'll be a stack of books delivered. Gosh, the things that you can do. So that's where I am with the books. Now, I did buy some leather scrappy bits from Spotlight, so I've also got that somewhere here. And I thought maybe I could have a go at using these inners here and make some leather books. And that will be later in the video. All right, I will pause the video now. It's gone on for 26 minutes. And I will finish the fabric elements and have a play with these and come back to show you what I end up doing with that. All right, okay, I shall catch you in a second. Bye for now. Okay, I'm back. So I finished all those little jobs, happy with how they all came together. My little lace tablecloth has been adhered to my table. It has glued, but overnight that'll, you know, really set. But this Gorilla Glue wood glue ultimate is really good. It's a game changer. So the little table's done. My cushion is stitched, and I ended up putting a stitch into the top of the little guy here, stitching it down there just to give it that chopped look. It looked very square, very static. So that's done. And I have stitched all of the little patches on, the mousy patches. What I ended up doing is stitching detail on the little piece of fabric. If I bring that up to the camera, see that? Using needle and thread, sewing machine thread. Then I adhered it on. It was just too hard. And I ended up breaking a needle, and it was like a contortion act to try and stitch it all on. So I decided best way around is I could, you know, add the detail and then add the pieces to the couch. So I chose that method in the end. I tell you, it is such a learning curve. It's just brilliant. I'm just really enjoying it. That little edge needs a little bit of glue. This little bottle that Tia put me onto as well, that's a game changer too. Really, really easy. I did a little bit of camphor stitching on that particular scrap. I'm just going to keep my finger on that as that tacks down. See that one there? A bit of camphor stitching where that was just edge stitching and the lace just attached. So really happy with that. There was a little daub of hot glue I could see from the manufacturer of the couch itself. So I just put a little patch over it, get rid of that Temu look. So yeah, couch is done. Side table is done. I've got everything sitting on a little tin Christmas tray. I went down to my shop in Brisbane a couple of weeks back, and I come back, well, I went looking for some melamine trays, and I picked up 3 tin ones. The melamine ones just were quite large and had a rolled soft edge on them. They weren't as sharp into a corner and then straight edge. So I ended up picking up 3 little Christmas tins. You'll see them, I'm sure, in future videos. They're really cute, and they're going to be for projects that have glue, basically. All of my other trays are either wicker or fabric lined, and glue is not good. So I've got those now just to sort of help me control my projects. So there's my little table setting. I forgot to show you this too. This was another cushion I did. It's a circular crocheted piece, and then I just created the little cushion back and popped some stuffing in. But I ended up rejecting it for this space because it's too pink. It just didn't look right. So I popped it up on one of the beds, and I thought that might, you know, kick off a colour palette for a bed. So that little cushion is another day, saved for another day. This little guy, I've stitched on that little piece of lace. That was easy. And I also added a little patch of fabric that I was using on the couch as just a little detail. Like, where do you stop? You could really keep going and going. I think in the house I'm going to set it a little off-centered. I want to see the flower, and I want to see all this mousy nibbled damage. Oh, and my little table. So just to add a little detail, I put a piece of vintage music paper on the end of the little table. I didn't do this end. It's not going to be seen. I just did this little end. I guess if I ever spin it around and that becomes exposed, that's easy enough to, you know, grab some paper. And this is my little collection left from when we were cladding the walls, made up of Eleanor and Ruby's vintage French papers, and then there was a few things of my own that are in there as well. So that's my little table. That'll go into position. So that little scene to this stage is tick done. There could be some bits and pieces sit on those tables, but at the moment it'll probably be books, and I'm yet to make those. So I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to get any more done this afternoon, so maybe tomorrow I can make some books. But at least this fabric textile section, I've managed to sort of get some more work done. I love it. Very mousy. All right, guys, I shall leave it at that, and I'll be back in a second, which is probably a day later or so for me as we move on to the next task. See you shortly. Okay, I'm back. So I was going to start on the books, but I didn't. I looked at the printer's tray and thought, you know what, I'm going to have a play with that next. So what I'm doing is creating some little pieces of French paper to slide into the back of my printer's tray just to add a little extra interest. So that's what I'm fiddling around with. Hours of fiddling. So yeah, this is part of the papers left from doing the house itself. So I'm thinking I can sort of spread a little bit of French. Oh, I think I've just broken one of those little struts. That's okay, because when I did this, I wasn't using this, put the lid on the glue, Corrine, glue. I was just using PVA. So it's very likely that some of those little things are not as secure as they could be. So I'll sort of fix that as I go. That's easily done. So that's the plan, is to put pops of paper in the background. Is that the right size? I think it's still too big. I've got a stylist here that I've had for years, and once again has come out of the back of the cupboard and is being used. It's always a good thing. Don't even know where I got it. I put a dab of glue in that little box. Just to hold that paper, just smear that around a little. So this will be fun. Hours of fun. Just spun that up the right way. Where was that glue then? Or did I just do it there? And the stylus should help me get it down into position. There we go. Tiny little detail, but that's what the mouse house is all about. Which one was loose? This one. I might leave him out for a bit, because if anything, it might give me a nice long space to put something. I probably have too many short little spaces. So I sort of think that maybe if some of these did fall out. Are you loose? Are you loose? No, they're all pretty good. Okay, we'll leave it at that for now. So paper into boxes to create a dramatic effect. Well, that's my story anyway. This should take a little bit of time. Then I will position some of the shells that Marianne found me at the beach. And I also grabbed my beads. Look, I've got a heap of little beads here, and I thought maybe I could make some itty bitty bottles. I often see those on miniature YouTube channels. And the other thing I grabbed out, which I thought was quite small in stature, is these little pins. I've had them for ages, and they're little, very fine pins that they would use for pinning out lace. So I thought that might go through some beads and potentially be cut and make some little vases that, I don't know, the mouse might have on the shelf with some bits and bobs in. I don't know. Oh, this is funny. When I was digging out those pins and the beads, I also spotted these. Lid on glue girl. These are something I got out of an op store, and they're tiny itty bitty brads that Stamping Up sold. I don't know what I'm going to use them for yet, but I thought if there was anything that could be maybe an odd little doodad for a doodad shelf, maybe something could be mounted on that tiny little brad, like I create a vase or something, and something sits on the vase. I don't know. So they're here as well. And what else did I grab out? Oh, just the beads, which I mentioned. Oh, I have some pebbles too, look. I've used these in my down the garden path stitching to create pebble stones. So I thought there might be some tiny little stones in there that potentially could have been collected by said mouse. Need some more paper. Oh no, there's still a little bit left, a little bit of writing. So that's the plan. Fiddle around once again. I was just talking to Gaz, and he is at the farm doing a bit of work in Dad's hay shed and cleaning out just old stuff to take to the dump, cleaning up the place a little. And there's a heap of seed that's come out of bags, like the bags have split. So all the seed is lying on the floor in the garage, in the shed. And he sent me a couple pictures. He's encountered 3 things. He's encountered a little mouse who, as we were chatting, was sitting there munching on some seeds. He was not concerned whatsoever that Gaz, his brother, and a friend of Gaz's brother were there, you know, loading the trailer with pieces of corrugated iron and all sorts of stuff. He was just munching away, cute as anything. So I'm going to insert a picture of a little mouse. Then there were all these little birds, and I think they're double bars. I will do a bit of a search on Google of that photo, and I'll put the name of the bird up on the screen. You guys might recognise them, but I haven't seen them for years around where I live. They're really cute, and they were eating seeds. And then in amongst all that action, a huge 2.5 metre red belly black snake. We don't have a photo, but for those of you overseas that don't know what I'm talking about, I'll find a general photo of a red belly black snake. And yeah, and my guess is he's hanging out under some pallets, and he's been there all weekend with the boys. So he's very shy, but he's very big. He is very dangerous, but he's not too interested in interacting with the lads, so he's just laying low. But they know where he is. He could have moved on overnight because they've been clanging and banging and, you know, tidying up. So I thought I might insert some footage of the little bird, of photos, of the little bird. Well, birds, there's a heap of them. So when I finish this little section of video for you guys, I will put the photos in, the 2 little photos. You can have a little look. They're so cute. Oh my goodness, cuteness. I'm just going to put another one of those in there. So yeah, the boys have gone over and they're camping at the farm with my brother, and we have some friends that are out at the local Pajolka Peterson Dam camping for a big fishing competition. So last night, instead of cooking dinner, they met them at the campfire, took some snags with them, some sausages, and spent the evening sitting around the fire. So they've had a great time. It's given me a nice quiet weekend, let me just say. Just going to trim that a little bit. I might look out some different coloured paper just to put a pop of something else in there. These little bookcase spots or printer tray spots are a little bit crooked. If I'd had some tweezers, I probably could have got this looking a little bit more plumb, but anyway, it's my first attempt. You've got to have a go. Use what you got. There we go. That up there would be a good spot. That's it so far. Just bringing it up to the camera. Doesn't it make a difference aesthetic wise having that little hop of interest? I think it's rather cute. I think this little pack of French papers, I'm going to get my money's worth out of it. Little elements I can pop around the mouse mansion. Looks pretty good. Let's put that one in. I might just stop doing this little task now because I want to grab those pins and some of those beads and see what I can throw together. I don't know if they'll represent really anything, but it'll create. Oh, that little guy's loose too. So we might put some glue on you. It'll create. It's possible I didn't even glue these in, you know. I bet you that's what's happened. They're positioned but not actually glued. It's odd that both have come out. I'd say that is the story. I don't know if you can see this. I apologise if it's too far away. There we go. So he's glued in. They're all in position. I might leave it at that. I think if I was to add anything else, it'd be a pop of colour. Like I might go find something to go in there. It's a bit messy glue. You can see there's glue there. So I think I'll do something there. Or maybe a darker tone of paper. Like I've got this paper. This is that magazine. Yeah, that's what we'll do. This is the Old Woman's Weekly. Put the lid on the glue, girl. Tell ya, the girl gets a little excited. There's a bull at the gate. Bull in the china shop. Is that the saying? So let's nibble off this piece. And I think that might just add that darker tone. Remember, it's an ocean-themed collected tray. So blue sea glass. That looks pretty good. And if everything's fairly neutral, I think it'll work a treat. There we go. Just put a pop of different colours in there. So a couple of those. Okay, let's just let that be for a moment. I can fiddle with that. So imagine a little shell popped in there just to start building up little collections of, that's too big. Oh, size is everything here. Another little shell. So there'll be more little bits and bobs needed to fill my little printer's tray. But that might be too big. Oh, no, what if I pop it up against the wall there? Yeah, that's okay. So that's where this museum wax is going to come into play. And this, I will make some small little pieces. I don't know how well that'll break. Oh, easy. Oh, that was great. Maybe that can sort of just be put in there like that, little piece of coral. Oh, love it. So I do have some shells myself, but boy, they look too big. Some of these pretty ones. These ones I would doubt that I would see on my beach. But I think we could sneak a couple of them in. This looks too big, but maybe. I think it'll work. Then I've got some little pearls. And what I thought is maybe, don't open it the wrong way, girl. Maybe one of these pins could link them all together so it looks like a little bottle or something. Let's have a look. So we need something for the bottom of the glass. don't need a base. We'll just do it this way for a moment and see how we go. Could do with a flat bottom, so I'd say I'll need to come up with a way. Oh, I know what I could use. What if I do? Just bear with me as I think out aloud, guys. It makes a cute little something something. Colour palette's good. Could be just a glass, blown glass bottle. So if I put something at the base, now Tia gave me some of these little round thingy-jiggers. They are plastic button things that she got from a container like this in all sorts of colours from Spotlight. So I'm wondering if I put that on first, add some glue, break off, yeah, I definitely need glue because that's finer. Get rid of that little knob there, or better still, do it at the base here. Get rid of the point, glue that onto there, and then all the beads would then nestle onto that. That has potential. Now that is rubber. So another option is a sequin. Yeah, I like that idea better. Tia was using these to make little bobbins with thread on them. I might save that for a rainy day. I might look out a little champagne sequin. Hold that thought, guys. Where are the champagne sequins? Would have to be close at hand. Found more shells. Oh, look at those. They were from a necklace. There were heaps of shells. Little wooden beads, they'd be good. Little pearl. Oh gosh, there's heaps, like more wooden beads. Oh look guys, trust me, something will come together. Sequins, here we go. These are little flower sequins. They're tiny. They'll be really good. I'm going to knock something over in a minute in the enthusiasm. So I'll just put that onto there. And with a dab of glue, that could be the base. And then thread the little beads on to make a vase. Okay, all right. We're not making books. We're going on to make bits for my printer's tray collection of seaside treasures. Oh my goodness. All right, guys, I'll pause the video again. This video is going to be so long. All right, see you soon. Bye. Well, hello everyone, I'm back. So it's been a long day. It is now about 8 o'clock at night and I don't know, when did I start this? I did start it just after breakfast, so it's been a long day. Now you would have just seen the photos of the double bar finches that the boys witnessed eating some seeds in the shed that had come out of an old bag that Dad had used in the past for, sowing in the field, and also a little mouse. Now, I was going to include a picture of the red belly black snake, but the thing, it would just looked nasty. So at the time that I started editing this, I didn't include it. But roll forward a few hours as I start to film this, and a video's come across to me from the boys. Now they've been there all day, and the snake I was referring to, actually they had seen in the hay shed where the birds and the mice were yesterday. And Gaz is telling me all about it at lunchtime. So they then head off down to the paddock to do some more work, and they're back in the afternoon to have a cold drink. And Gaz sends me another message and says, check this out. So apparently the boys were sitting there calmly having a cold drink, My brother had joined them, and he just casually says, as they're talking about, you know, their adventures and the big snake in the hay shed, and my brother calmly says, "There's another one right behind you." And they turned around, and here is another red belly black snake just passing by the back of the patio within meters of them. They're just all sitting there. So Gaz managed to film that snake, and it's only a little bit shorter than the one they saw yesterday. So it's definitely a different snake. So I'm going to include the video of the snake when I finish showing you what I've been doing for the afternoon. So you might want to pause and skip that if snakes aren't your thing. But what I will do is the picture I had found showing you the red belly black, I am going to actually add it because it's a really good photo showing you why they get their name. They had that red belly to them. And of course, Gaz has taken some footage of this monster slithering past the lads as they're having a cold beverage. So yeah, heads up that, you know, if there's a trigger for a snake fear for you, best you tune out before we get to the end of this little bit. Oh my goodness, you just cannot write this stuff. They are just everywhere. Okay, focus back on what we were doing. This is my completed little printer's tray with a collection of seaside treasures. So I have glued everything into position. I went for a little fossick, and I know I've got this big tree down near the lake that has lots of little lichen growing on them. So Bandit and I had a bit of fossick, and we found a stick lying on the ground that we were able to cut away 2 little lichens, and they're just gorgeous. There's so many trees in a row there, but there's only this one tree that actually have these little guys on it. So it's really cool. There is Marianne's sand in the coral. Like, there's a real smell of salt and sea here. Oh my goodness, this mouse house is now getting sensory smells. So the little coral is in 3 locations, and then the 4th location is up the top here. And then that's a little stick I found as we're walking back to the house. And I thought, if that's adhered to the wall, it would look like that stick's holding it. So that's the idea there. There's lots of little pearls. There's some vintage pearls hanging on some cord, and also some here. So I thought, with a few scattered around, I sort of thought that maybe a mouse would have a little pearl necklace hanging off the bottom corner. And I went through those pebbles and I picked out 3 little blue ones, just to sort of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 little blue ones, just to sort of give, you know, the sea glass feel. So that's the little printer's tray, sea themed, ready to go into the house. So back to what I was doing for the rest of the afternoon. Oh my goodness, this took forever. I've completed these little books where the little birds are featured inside and adhered their cover. I reinforced all of those because there's a couple there. There's flower book, cooking books, the birds, and vintage embroideries. I reinforced their covers first with this card stock here. It's like a card that you would write a message in. So I got one of those out and covered a few of the little internal pages with that, just to get a brown book. I then went to my leather, and that's my little pile of leather I got from Spotlight with all sorts of colours in there. So that was a lot of fun. Went through and picked out a chocolate, a black, some I turned inside out so you get the suede look, a cream. I think that's it. One of them I've tied with some twine. Just thought that was an interesting look. So they're waiting. When I had finished doing all of these, I sort of felt it was a bit dowdy. There's a little bit that I can trim off. You know, it's a bit brown, a bit too moody. So I thought, well, what can I add to bring a little colour? back into my collection of books, and that's how the Stamperia paper came to be. So I went to the cupboard, and this is another piece of the paper, and all of these I thought were perfect size for books, so I just started cutting strips off, and that's given me these little colourful books. So just book pages inside with the little colourful Stamperia covers, and they worked out beautifully. So all sizes, all shapes. So pretty much all of the little books that I had in a row here, the internals, are done, bar these two, which I thought I'd do with you and show you sort of how I did it. So these two remaining, remember I had the scraps that I had lost the other half of them? Well, I ended up just folding them up and thought, you know what, I'll still use them. So they got concertinaed together to create just a few pages. So these would be skinny books. And now I'm going to just finish them off, and I thought I'd do that with you. So there, we have made great progress. All my little books are complete, and we've been chasing red belly black snakes all day. Like, you cannot write this stuff. Nothing like inheriting a farm full of bloomin' red belly black snakes. Lovely. The boys that are with Gaz, it's Gaz's brother and his mate, they helped build the garden bed edges for me a couple months ago. B1 and B2 is what I was calling them. It was like herding cats. It really was. It was quite a challenge to get the task done. But anyway, B1 and B2 are back. B1's been with us for a couple of weeks holidaying, and his mates now arrived on the scene. So Gary's brother will probably chuff off next week and go on a big camping adventure with B2. But Gaz managed to convince them to go to the farm for the weekend and help us do a little bit of clearing up while they wait for the weather to sort of change a little. And so that's how they came to be at the farm, chasing red belly black snakes, or the red belly black snakes chasing them. I don't know. It certainly has put the wind up them. You can watch the little video that I'll put up from Gary's phone, but I did have to mute the sound. Gary was really good, but the B1 and B2, they were hilariously freaking out, as you could imagine, I guess, but there was a lot of swear words, let's say. You know, the really bad one. Yeah, so I just can't play it because I'm sure YouTube will ban me for swear words. But yeah, the boys, B1 and B2, I don't know, must have thought they were in fear of their life. They weren't. The snake, as you watch the video, it just sort of moves through the area, and that's, you know, what they do. It even stops for a moment because it sort of smells something in a clump of grass to investigate. That's how oblivious the snake is to the lads. They're sitting there having a drink on the patio, which is, you know, ground level, and this big snake just cruises on through. And my brother, he's just so chilled. And even Gary was like, says to my brother, do you think you could have shown a little bit more enthusiasm that there's a snake in our vicinity? And he's like, well, I didn't want you to panic. So the boys were just like, oh my goodness, how can you be so calm? And my brother, you can hear him say, well, they're here all the time. You know, there's no use screaming like a girl. And B1 and B2, yeah, they weren't screaming like a girl, but, you know, quite amusing. But I will mute that story in amongst Gaz's video because the words were, yeah, naughty words. All right, what else have I got here to tell you? So I just did those two little books. The letters are cut and ready to go. I rolled up some of that scrap paper, put a little tie around it, so I have little, I guess, maps or schematics for future high-rises that mice might be planning to build. I don't know. Plans, future plans. So pretty much I'm ready to now add all my bits and bobs to my shelving. So I will pause the video. So I'll then tomorrow, it's too late now, tomorrow I'm going to play in the mouse house and put in all of the books into the bookcase. So I'll add the video from Gaz's phone, so please pause, scoot forward if you do not want to see a very large red-bellied black snake move through the grass where the boys are sitting. Oh my goodness. It'll be the story of a lifetime for those lads. Anyway, I will pause the video and I will catch you all in the morning when I play in the mouse chateau. Beware, there's a snake video coming. Don't be warned. Okay, see you soon, guys. Well, hello everyone. It's the next day and Nibble Nook is done. It didn't take as long as I thought it would. I think I've been here about an hour placing all of the books, the letters, the rolled up pieces of parchment, and just styling the space. So what can I point out to you? I was surprised at how well the really large books worked. There's one on the couch. I got my pointer here because if I touch anything it just falls. I'm yet to go through and add a little bit of glue and some of the museum wax just to hold everything in position. But I'll do that another time. The little books, well, the biggest of all the books, these ones here and the cooking ones and the bird ones, they worked out beautifully. If anything, they gave a little bit of scale to the place and it wasn't just all itty-bitty books. I've got a few books that are open, which I just love, and there's one way up underneath there, I think, there. The picture is glued into position. I've got the two little brass ornaments, the deer there and the little deer on the table. This was a little seed kernel pod that I picked up from outside, and I was going to use in the little tray here, but it was just too big, but it looks great just sitting there. It'd be something a mouse would pick up for sure. I think there's another one here somewhere that I might add. What else did I want to show you guys? The little tablecloth, crocheted tablecloth worked out beautifully. I had heaps of the letters left over, so put some twine around a couple bundles. I poked a heap under the chair. There's a few on the bench. There's a diary with twine around it there. Yeah, just trying to make it look like it's a study that the mice would be using. Someone is sorting through letters, trying to organise letters. There's letters that have fallen on the floor in there that no one's picked up and they really need to. So there's a lot of correspondence going through Nibble Nook, and I just love it. And you'll see Skeeter in the background there. He now has some dapper tweed trousers. Can't remember if I've shown you those. I've got still about 6 mice cut out, and when I made Scooter's trousers there, he's just in the back there if you can't see him, I made an extra 2 pairs of pants, so I think there'll be another 2 mice, male mice, come along. So yeah, just love it, absolutely love it. That's my first official space displayed. So really looking forward to going to the next section. The only thing I think is missing, which I will add in the future, is some pot plants. The spaces in my mind for future development is maybe a nursery or at least a plant shop, or if it's a bit overwhelming making plants, I could maybe do a couple carts of plants where you can just pick up a plant or a bunch of flowers as you're heading home. Some of those might be able to drift into this space. I just feel like it needs a little pop of green. Anyway, I'm going to leave it be now. Like hours of, we need some stitching in there too, don't we? Like she's doing some stitching. Maybe I'll take one of my slow stitch scrolls, which is sitting up the top here, and just pop that on the couch where she's been needle and threading. I might even dig out a pair of scissors, because in the little Julia and Sam kit where's some scissors. I think I'd rather them be gold, so I might end up painting those down the track. We might skip them. Sort of want that gold brassy undertone to the place, so I'm yet to figure out how to paint things that are silver gold. I have to go through all my old paints. I used to antique bronze things back in the day, so I just need to see what I've got and how I can, is it still, moist and able to be used. Things don't last forever in the paint tins. So yeah, anyway, I threw some crocheting on the chair. You need something comfy to rest on, or a little rug over your knee. So yeah, that's Nibble Nook. I can now put in the staircase, which is big and obnoxious, but unfortunately needed, unless one day I do a finer set of stairs. But I'm not too worried about that, because I love it when people get down and they look into these spaces, and I'm already seeing it. I have friends come over and family, and they're like, oh, what are you up to now? And I show them Nibble Nook, and they just, down they go, in they look, and I just love it. I just love the fact that that's sort of happening organically, people exploring the spaces, and I think they all so far are getting it. Anyway, I'm rambling here. I'm going to say goodbye. That's another episode. I hope I didn't scare too many with the big black snake, a big red belly black snake. At the end of the day, he's a magnificent creature, and he was just passing through. All right, I think that's it. Have a lovely day, and I'll catch you all in the next episode, which will be in 2 weeks' time. Bye.